Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to draw and learn about turkeys just in time for a very popular turkey event here in the US. But turkeys are important all over the world. They are thought to be lucky in some areas or important in other cultures. It's kind of interesting. And a fun fact, only the male turkey can gobble. Who knew that the hens or girls can't actually make that gobbling noise? I actually think I woke up to turkeys gobbling this morning. We have a huge flock of them that travel between the river that's in front of my house and the apple orchard that's behind my house to get some little snacks for themselves. All right, for this turkey, we want our paper turned landscape wider than it is tall. And we're going to start with the beak. We want the beak towards the right side or the front of our paper so that we have lots of room for our big tail back here. And their beaks are pretty small, but they're a typical triangular kind of shape. Just going to do a little bit of a curve there and then come back. So we have a pointy triangular beak. And then we're going to add that little piece of skin that's over the top of their nose. So here on the side or top edge of our beak, we're going to do a curve and go over, kind of creating a straight line across the top and curve a little bit more. So we get a little flap. And then we're going to add the hanging down part, which is just kind of flapping in the wind there. They don't have to look identical, but what we want to do is create that hanging down part that's kind of wiggly that you see on a turkey, and the part that goes over the top of their beak. That fleshy skin that hangs over their beak is actually called a snood, and it will change colors when the turkey gets excited. Will actually get bright red when they're happy and excited. Next, we're going to add the little hanging down part that goes on the other side. So it's going to be in that background where this one is in the foreground or closest to us. So we're going to see less of it, and it should be a little bit smaller than the other side. First side, just kind of peeking through underneath there. And not quite as long because it's further away. So it's twisted a little bit away from us. It almost looks like one of the Among Us characters with a beak right now. Very interesting. On top of this their snood turning bright red when they get excited, they can actually blush. So if they get scared, angry, excited, or even sick, their skin, just like ours, their skin tone that's on their face will actually blush, going from the pale pink that their skin is typically to a bluish gray, even red, white, and blue, depending on the undertones of their skin and the area that they live. Who knew that turkeys were so sensitive? Not me. All right, next we're going to add this turkey's head. Their head is a circle shape, but then they have a pretty wide neck. So we're going to start on that snood almost all the way over. Almost all the way at the curved part there. And we're going to do part of a circle to create that head. And then we'll curve it down slightly and turn it the other way so we get a little bit of a neck. So just curve this, keep it going around. And then we'll just do a little curve going the opposite direction so we get that neck area in there. And underneath the snood, we're going to add the other side of the neck, which is just a curved line. You can see the neck starting to form here and our turkey's head. Now, if this back bump of your head does not stick out further than the neck, then make that a little bigger because our head goes further back and then curves inward to our neck, just like a bird's. So if you want that to be a little wider, just erase that back part and take your line a little further over and then curve in, and you'll get a little more oomph to your head there. But I made it so curvy here, it looks flat on top now. So I want to curve that part. It's always a work in progress. And that's why we start in pencil. There we go. So there you can see it's got a little more defined bump on the back of his head. All right. Next, we're going to add the curves of the belly or chest area. And those are super fluffy, almost cloud-like. So what I want you to do is very lightly with your pencil, we're going to do a letter J almost. So we're going to go down and over to create like the letter J. But we're going to erase this line to do it lightly because we're going to do these curves right off of that. So rainbow shapes that are sideways. And each one is going to start on the previous one. So we're not going to start at the corner. We're going to start up on it just a little bit and create those curves around our letter J until we're all the way back here. And then we can erase that line, but giving us that J to start with kind of gives us a template or an outline to show what shape we want these curves to go in. Because if we just drew them freehand, most likely you would have ended up with straight up and down versions or like really big bellies. We don't want that, so we're gonna just give ourselves a guideline. All right, next we're gonna add that wing back here. So we're gonna start with almost like an upside down letter U, but it gets a little narrower at the bottom, like a V, but curved. So come up till we get to the neck and curve around and go just to the point where we finish this little rainbow shape from the belly. And then we'll connect the side of this wing here, the open end of the U, with the same scallopy rainbows that we did on the chest. They'll be a little smaller, like so. And we're going to add a couple more rows of those to create some definition and color differences in their wing. You probably notice that turkeys do not have any visible ears on their head. They just have this little hole. And that's because they don't have an external ear like we do. But they're actually excellent hearing animals. So they hear things from far, far away. But instead of having that cartilage or that external ear like we do, which this is cosmetic, it doesn't really do anything. All our hearing happens inside of our ear canal. And that's what a turkey has. All right, next we're going to add some details. We're going to do our turkey's little eyeball and his feet. We're going to start with a circle eye above the beak. You can do any shape eye you like though, or any style. I just did a little curve in there to create the separation between that white part at the back of the eye and this dark pupil of the turkey. Like that. But if you want it to be a fancy girl and give her eyelashes, you can. Or if you want to do more of an anime eye, you could do that too. Turkeys have webbed feet like most birds, really. We're going to just do tiny little legs and then triangular feet with 3 toes. So we're just going to kind of draw like a U at the back and add 3 little toes. And then we'll do 1 more of those behind here. And our little turkey has some feet. So turkeys are actually very sensitive animals, not just because they blush and they get excited, but they've been known to actually have heart attacks and drop dead because they're scared. And they've noticed this most around US military bases where they're taking off and using different planes or devices that will break the sound barrier. And when that happens, they found turkeys kind of outside of their area who had passed away from heart attacks. And so they started studying it and watching them as they did these different tests and procedures and realized it was a noise that was causing the issue. Who knew? All right, next we're going to do this turkey's giant tail. It's their best feature, I think. So we want to, again, give ourselves a guideline like we did for this belly and chest area. So if you look, their tail starts just above their head here. And then we're going to curve down towards the bottom there, or towards the belly. And then we're going to curve a little bit more, getting closer and closer until we connect just before the body or somewhere around there. All right. It doesn't have to be a perfectly smooth line. You could adjust it if you don't like how that's kind of pointy. That's okay. We just want to give ourselves a curve to follow with that tail. So I'm going to start with this tail kind of right off the middle of the wing. And we're going to go upwards towards our sample or our target line there and curve inwards at the bottom, but be a little further apart at the top. And then we'll connect that with a curved top. And we're going to keep working to the front of our turkey now. So we're going to start on this first wing or feather, curve up, do a straight line over, and then curve back down towards the original place where we started our first line on our first feather, leaving about one pencil or one finger apart from the two sides. And we're going to keep doing that until we've added one little feather peeking out above this turkey's head. Because their feathers fan or get further and further apart, but they kind of overlap a little bit, creating that staggered look that you see of the opening of a feather. All right, once you've got up to that head area, I could even add one more here if I wanted to, just because then this tiny little area in here would also be part of a feather. So I don't have to worry about, seeing sky through there, because that's this feather would continue down. We're going to do the same thing here, but these feathers are going to get shorter and shorter and shorter until they come all the way under. So I'm going to rotate my paper just a little bit. And we're going to do these the same way we did these second, third, and fourth ones. So starting a little bit down from the top of our first feather, and then doing a curve line up, curve line over, and down. And you will notice that I'm going a little bit above my guideline, but do you see how it's about the same amount each time? So I'm doing my lines to that line and doing the top over the top. You could also do this straight part of your feather right on your guideline, whatever works. Just try to keep these kind of about the same height. And as we curve down, you'll notice they start to get smaller, smaller and smaller. We want to go all the way across the bottom of the wing and stop just before we get to the body. Just like so. And then I'm just going to erase this guideline. Just so I don't accidentally trace over it with my marker. And you don't have to erase it well, just enough that your brain remembers. Don't trace that part. Not part of our turkey, just part of our guideline. All right, there he is. Now, when I colored my turkey, I did a variety of different colors, but what you maybe can't quite tell in this picture on my slide is that I added some gel pen patterns on top of all of my colors. I did like little polka dots and swirls and triangles and stars and rectangles, just to give my turkey a little more depth and interest. So if you want to try that, you could even do it with your markers before coloring or as part of your feathers, adding some patterns on here. Now, if you want to put your turkey someplace cool, you can definitely add a background in here. You could also maybe put him on a giant plate as kind of a funny joke if you're going to be doing Thanksgiving soon. Do like an oval shape behind him and then an oval shape in the middle to show like This is the outside edge of the plate, and this is the center. And maybe you want to make him have a funny sign that says, eat more cow or eat more pig. Save the turkeys. Whatever you want. Add to that. Eat more cow. Save the turkeys. So you can make it silly, you can make it fun. You could have your turkey out in the forest with trees and leaves falling down and having a really cool fall picture. Whatever you want to do with your turkey, I can't wait to see what you come up with. Be sure to upload it in the classroom or send it to me directly and come back next week for another drawing. Bye, everyone.